Welcome to CineQuest video. Today we're going to be talking about a movie, a new horror movie coming out, or just came out recently. It's called Inherit the Witch. In 1984, a family throws a 14th birthday party. 30 years later, they reunite at the two isolated houses in a forest, where horrific truths are uncovered about the family's occult pact with an ancient evil that's enabled their wealth and power. That sounds metal as hell, you know?
Yep, it does. Now, if only it looked it, which it does not.
Yeah, so in theory, this movie does sound like something we would watch willingly. And we did.
Tricks.
Evil, ancient powers, witches. I mean, that's right up our alley, you know.
Yeah, gimme. Gimme.
I will say though ahead of time that we were sent a early screener of this movie, and we're thankful for that. So we can not necessarily that we had to, but we're choosing to review it, you know, so we had the opportunity to watch it. Roland, you want to give who this is directed by, or the actors, and then we'll talk about who it's directed by.
Right. Yeah. So the main character is this guy named Corey, which it took us forever to learn his name.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. In the movie, the name of the actor is Credo Alexander. I think that's how the internet says it's supposed to be pronounced. And then there's, I think his boyfriend in this one, Lars, played by Christopher Sherwood. And I think it's his sister, right?
Yeah.
That's Fiona.
Yeah.
Played by Heather Cairns. Then we've got, you know, a couple witches here and there. We've got the young Frank character from the first Hellraiser, who is I say young Frank, but like I mean, like when Frank I told you before when we were watching, when Frank possesses the father in the movie. I don't know the name of that fucking actor.
I'll put a picture of the person we're referring to right here, and you can kind of compare and contrast, because they kind of do look similar. Like he looks like a younger version of that particular actor.
I'm just gonna look up the guy's name right here because I've got it in front of me.
Yeah, you made that comparison pretty quick.
Yeah, he looked like a younger version of that. I don't know why. It's like something in the eyes or something looked kind of similar.
Yeah, even just facial structure and eyes do.
Maybe they're related.
maybe.
Then there's just like a couple of witches. There's the Grand Witch. There's Pamela. There's
Roland, I want you to go and look to see who the writer and director was, because you had a theory while we were watching this movie, and I didn't like confirm this at the time, but until we started recording, about the main actor and his probable closeness to maybe the production and creation of this. And it turns out
I was like, what are the odds that the guy that stars in this is the writer and the fucking director? And you know what?
You're right.
Called it.
You called it, yeah.
This is a vanity project, dude. Straight up.
Mm-hmm. And I think it shows because of how much the way he either gives as much screen time, and I'm gonna suspect. I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I'm gonna suspect that most of these people are his friends, and maybe that guy Lars is probably his real boyfriend or close to it, or someone he really wanted to work with, because they had a lot of
somebody they just wanted to bang. They need an excuse,
right? This kind of had like a overtly awkward kind of PDA in this film.
Yeah.
And it was like it was a lot of unnecessary stuff, you know, like I wouldn't buy this necessarily if it was even a straight couple doing this. I'd be like, this is a little overdone.
No,
you know?
Yeah, it seemed very forced, a lot of it.
Right. There's in the very beginning of the film when Lars and Corey are introduced. All right, they're kind of like in the throes
of fucking, aren't they?
They're not fucking at the moment. They are kind of in the throes of like kind of showing their passion for each other, right?
The throes of bonerdom.
And it kind of continues on with Lars constantly wanting his dick played with.
Yeah.
He wants a blowjob.
Yeah.
He wants to be hand jerked off. He wants
I'm
a
just
hand
thinking
job.
about like how the main guy is the writer, and like just remembering all of the fucking dialogue.
Let's not forget that shot Lars upside down doing yoga, and it's right focused on his
Oh
fucking
yeah, he's
nutsack.
doing the like split right in the middle, and his ball sack's right front and center, fucking
Yeah,
center on the camera.
it's right front and center, and Corey, our writer
Mm,
director, is in the background. Like, it has
he's right.
that little bokeh kind of thing going on, so it's kind of blurred out, and you see him on the phone, and it's an
Yeah.
odd choice for a
Yes.
shot.
There are a lot of odd choices for shots in
Yes,
this movie.
and we'll get into that in just a moment. As far as like the story is concerned, I was confused most of the time, and I think you can
Yeah,
agree with me on that. Like,
I
didn't
was.
seem like there was a coherent linear narrative, because I mean they jump back in time, which is fine, and then we kind of like gathered
Yeah,
that at the end of the
the
movie, you
thing
know?
is that like they jump back to, instead of just like a flashback scene, it's more like a flashback sequence because they keep
Right,
going
right.
back to it, like the same kind of
Yeah.
event.
And it's the birthday party, the post birthday party sacrifice is basically what we're
Right.
getting to.
Yeah. Of these two teenagers having, I think they like turned 14 or some shit.
Yeah,
I
with
don't
the
know.
14th birthday party. Which, you know
And
what's funny is that we were still kind of like confused, like, are they still on this birthday party thing? Like, is that what they're still doing right now? And we were also kind
kind
of
of,
confused as to like what exactly the motive with these witches were. I mean, eventually you find out it's because there's an inheritance, and we're not
yeah.
exactly sure how the witches necessarily play a role in the lives of these people. Are they related to them in some way? They're cousins, they're distant cousins. Like, are they just trying to like eliminate the next of kin? Bless you.
Um,
Are they trying to eliminate the next of kin in order to get the inheritance? I'm not entirely sure what
yeah,
the motive
the
was.
idea is just that like they sort of control that family.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what we gathered. And again, it's not necessarily clear. We had to kind of like, we were struggling to kind of follow the story as we were watching. And it's a short movie.
Yeah, it is a short movie, and it drags, and it is, the dialogue is rough.
Yeah. It is rough. I'll just leave it at that. I won't go any further into
It is very much
criticizing
of
it so
like,
much.
looking at it, very much seems like a vanity piece. A lot of like close-up shots of the
Hmm.
main character, uh, like just a lot of either maybe unnecessary or just sort of like excessive shots of
Right.
that dude's face, like right up
Yeah, and
portrait
I
style.
mean, as we've found out, I mean, being the writer and director and the star of it,
It takes a toll on somebody,
I would
and so
think
mistakes are made
I would probably suggest
when
that
you
if
wear
you're going
that
to be
many
the
hats.
writer and director, that you not necessarily put yourself as the star, unless I don't know if
Yeah,
you're fully capable of handling a whole movie. Like, that should have been someone
yeah.
else's part, and maybe
The one man
you play
show.
the Rowan Quinn character, the witch that's kind of going around like doing
Yeah,
stuff, like trying to
maybe.
play the background character, you
Or
know?
maybe like he would have been better as as Rex's character.
Yeah, that's
Because
the
like
guy. That's the
he's,
guy who I'm talking about, Rex.
oh, you are,
Rowan.
my
Yeah,
bad.
that's the name of the
Okay.
actor,
Because like
Rowan Quinn.
the name the name of the actor was
It's
Rohan
Rohan Quinn.
Keen or
Keen.
Quinn.
See, like that's we're back on the phonetics
I
of
mean,
these
it's
particular
whatever.
songs, and where the
Yeah,
phonetics of these names and where they're from. I can't pronounce them correctly, and we're kind of just guessing here.
I
But
can guess.
yes, Rex. Rex is the character that he
So
probably would have been better as. Um, I don't know. That's just a suggestion and how I felt how he
I
was
think
directing himself. You
Rex
know.
and Corey's characters could have been switched,
Right.
maybe.
Right.
Because like Credo Alexander has like a very like um fuck, I'm trying to remember the name of the actor. He played Severus Snape in fucking Harry Potter. Uh he was from fucking Die Hard, the villain.
Oh,
Um
you mean the
damn. I
uh,
know the guys.
yes, Metatron in fucking Dogma also.
Yeah, Dogma.
I can't believe we're blanking on his name. Shame on us, Roland. Shame on us.
Yeah.
He's a
I mean,
gem of an actor.
he was.
He was. Unfortunately, he passed away.
Yeah. Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman, yes. He does
he's
kind of
got a
have like
very
a bit
like
of an
Alan
Alan Rickman kind of
Rickman-ish
face to
sort of
him.
like features, the
Yeah,
high cheekbones and like the pursed lips, and then like the stare. This guy's
yeah.
got like kind of like
I don't know, do the
sort of
eyes like.
a ratty, snaky kind of looking.
He looks like he's got resting bitch face on the regular.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
in the IMDb picture.
aggressive
Yeah.
resting bitch face.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
even in the
does.
IMDb picture, like he just looks like
He
the picture
does.
looks like fuck you.
Yeah, he looks like edgy fucking uh like an edgy sarcastic kind of guy. Oh shit, he was in Oz.
Oh, he
No
was?
fucking shit. Yeah, he was a drag queen in one episode.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
Well, you know what? I mean, if he's trying to get back into this whole thing, but I feel like he should uh, focus more on the
Yeah.
direction because I will say a few good things about this movie, Roland.
He was a part of the crew in Terra Firma.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, wow.
So he's got experience,
Yeah,
and
his cred goes back to
let
1997.
me
So.
let me state some positives about this movie. All right, I will say that it looks good, like the coloring, the cinematography and stuff. It's
Yeah,
got some nice
there are some
shots.
really good shots that are done, but then there's like a lot of other stuff that's really
Yes,
bad. Like
and let's
this,
hold on before we continue on with that. The bad parts.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of any more good parts other than
Um,
like the some cool practical effect type of stuff that they did. You know, they didn't lean on too
yeah.
much
So
CGI,
the
which is
story
fine.
is very straightforward, and it's a good like idea. I think it's sort of been done before.
Well, I mentioned to you that
Um,
it seemed like a budget Hereditary movie with
yeah,
the way it kind of ended up and kind of the way it's going. Again, the concept is good. I'm for the concept. I just think it
yeah.
wasn't executed properly, and
No,
they probably
it
should have
it wasn't.
gotten some better actors. And in fact, you mentioned this before. The sister of his has had a particular way of emoting, and it was with her mouth. So every time
Yeah,
she would
she
speak, it was like these very
the
exaggerated
people in
mouth
this movie like they
positions.
either before I wanted to say overacting, but no, it's more like the only parts of them know how to act. So like that woman, her face, like her lips, it's all in her mouth.
Yeah, and he had
She
all.
does a lot of like
Yeah, a lot of it.
yeah, and it's just like this looks not great.
And,
Um,
but I mean, I attribute that to like the Britishness of her because like she just seemed
yeah,
like that's the way she would speak. But it's like her acting is done mostly through her
yeah,
mouth
her
position or something.
her expressions.
Yeah, her mouth
Um,
expressions. Yes.
the he does. She seems to do a lot of the heavy lifting
Yeah.
for the acting in this movie, which is unfortunate because it would have looked better if she, I guess, maybe hadn't have been alone in that. Like she had someone else to act off of because everyone else kind of they keep the same sort of expressions.
Right.
Like like Corey's character, he pretty much doesn't he never changes
Hmm.
his like facial features,
If
any none
you
of that shit.
if
It's the
you
same through the whole
if you
fucking movie.
see the actor who plays Corey, the writer and director, if you see
Yeah.
his IMDb picture, that's literally him throughout the whole movie with his mouth moving to say words. Like there's not much that
Uh
goes on up here in the
well,
facial expressions.
yeah, no, like he has a very wooden sort of kind of I'm trying to not to make this sound negative. I was like he has a very wooden expression. And again, like his acting, he's pretty much just like got like um one character, and that's to be like just sort of cranky and arrogant looking.
Well, like towards the end, I felt like whenever he actually starts changing his expression whenever he becomes this
Yeah.
king witch thing or something. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really a spoiler necessarily, but I mean, that's kind of like where it's kind of going, or like I don't even know if he's like king witch, but I mean, like
It's
they put
in
a
the
crown on him or
name
something there.
of the
Yeah,
movie.
and
The name of the
inheriting,
movie gives away the plot,
right?
you know?
He like starts to smile, and it's almost an awkward
Yeah.
smile, you
And
know,
it,
like
it
it was
looks
just like
strange.
it was a strange
It's
thing to
good.
see.
I guess it's good that it does look strange though, because it's like offsetting,
Yeah,
off-putting.
and
Uh,
I guess in hindsight, that is probably what they're going for in that
yeah,
particular scene. You know, like it's an unsettling scene. So like whenever
right.
he decides to show some expression, it's like
Yeah.
you're taking it
He
back a
never
bit.
he
Like,
never smiles in the movie, I think, even when he's like being intimate or whatever with his
no, he's
boyfriend.
not.
I don't know that they
He's not at
ever
all. Like he like
like the
literally is the same
boyfriend's real
face.
happy and shit, like, you owe me a blowjob, and he's like, how about a handy? You know, and I'll make you a sandwich. I'm like, all right,
um,
good deal. Sounds like somebody's getting a sandwich.
as we're continuing on with our thoughts about this movie, Roland, we had another issue while we were watching
Yeah.
it, and that was the editing choices that they were making in this movie.
Wow,
And that
boy.
is kind of
Very
like what we
unique.
got going here, you know, this whole split screen thing. Like they
The
had the,
three-quarter screen, right?
yeah, and it wasn't even down the
Wasn't
middle.
halfway
It
down the
was
middle.
like
Nope.
this
It was like
portion, and then the rest of this was like the rest of the scene. Yeah, it was off. Like it was like,
was way the fuck off. And it really throws you at first because
yeah,
like you're looking at it and you're like, why do I feel like like not so, like why do I feel confused or like just like there's something off about it. Then you finally figure it out and you're like, that's so fucking weird. Why would you do this?
yeah.
You know, like
Now,
did they use two different camera?
no, what I, you know what I mean? It's it's the possibility that they could have done that also to kind of drive some kind of uncomfortableness in the viewer. Now, I may be giving them too much
Mm,
credit that they it was intentional to do that with the split screen, not just
yeah.
going down the middle, but going like
I
a
don't
little
know.
off kilter. Uh,
I would love to know like some of the reasoning for some of these
yeah,
decisions.
hmm because
Yeah.
like the split screen thing, like it happens so often, and then it would end so
Yeah, in the beginning of the
abruptly,
movie.
and then it would like come back, and then it would end abruptly. You know, like there was no like
Yeah.
smooth. There weren't very many smooth transitions when that was happening. And in
No, it
fact,
was very all pretty hard cuts.
there was a scene which I brought up the hard cuts, like whenever the witch guy starts coming and like grabs onto the person, immediately jumps to something else. Where like I felt like there could
Yeah.
have been a few more seconds, and they did a hard cut there, and it was very abrupt, and it was didn't really make any sense. And that's one of my big issues with this movie is, of course, the
The poor
dialogue
editing.
and the editing choices.
Yeah,
The film looks great. I think it's shot really well, and
it is.
but those are my two big gripes about this movie: the editing choices and the dialogue.
I was trying to remember the sound direction.
Oh, the sound. That's the part we actually did enjoy. You remember? Because we
Yeah.
thought it's kind of funny because we mentioned that they may have gotten a free trial to some kind of
Yeah, for the software.
audio software or audio sample software, and then
So they just have to use
they
all
just
of the
downloaded
effects.
all these like samples and they used them in every portion of this movie.
Yeah.
And it was never there wasn't much consistency with the soundtrack or the score going on in the background.
No, it was all over the fucking place. Like
They had some cool sounds though. They had some cool like
they
synthy
were
80s type
and
of sounds going
then
on, and then it went off. Like
and then yeah, it like jumps into like Lord of the Rings or uh
well, it starts off like that. It starts off very
yeah.
fantastical. Like you think like we're gonna. It seemed almost Disney picturesque. You know,
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna watch like a Disney Halloween movie, like kind of like Hocus
No.
Pocus or something.
And then all of a sudden we start hearing like synthesizer shit and stuff, right?
And we made a joke while we were watching it that they use this sound quite a bit. What I dubbed the
Which one was it?
alien landing thing. It goes,
Oh, the woo. God, I
you
hate
get that
that fucking
you
noise.
get that fucking sound on the Apple Loop library, right? That's given to you for free.
Yeah, it's fucking silly how often you hear that shit. And it keeps fucking up the tension. Like it
Yeah.
keeps fucking with the mood of every scene they use it in. You're like, oh, this is a serious moment.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, fuck
Wee.
off.
Yeah.
This is not great.
Yeah. That
It's fucking hilarious how bad it is.
yeah, and that I think the
Um,
one of the most enjoyable parts for me was hearing an array of sound effects,
it's also
not fitting the tone of the movie.
it was funny because like there are moments where it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like it's really fucking good, and then there are other moments where it's like the production of the effects is so overdone, where you're just like, get the fuck out of here! What are you doing? This has to be a joke, right? Like I can't remember specific moments much of this movie because unfortunately it's just not written well enough to stick out in
There's
my
not
mind.
much. This is the kind of movie that you would forget, and we were about
Yeah,
to.
I'm too used to just ridiculous bullshit.
If we didn't record this the next day or like immediately afterwards, I don't think I would have remembered much tomorrow.
And like it's also billed as a horror movie. Like I think it's mostly just drama,
It's witch
maybe
drama.
suspense.
Mm-hmm. The only
Yeah, maybe
the only horror
suspense.
element is the idea of the witches
Yeah,
and that maybe a little bit of more violent element or the supernatural element, which
yeah. I
the
mean,
ancient evil that it's proclaiming in the actual synopsis of this
right?
movie. I didn't really feel that. Where was the ancient evil? Like,
No, it didn't feel like that at all.
I mean,
It mostly felt like.
unless we're getting some kind of like Lovecraftian bleak ending or something that would have like
I
saved
mean,
this movie.
that's what I thought the idea was.
Yeah,
That's why I was like, oh, this has been done so many times before. Because the idea is that, uh, like these people end up getting replaced,
yeah,
and it's like, and any good, uh, body snatchers movie, like it does not end well,
right.
as is proper, as is, as is tradition.
Well, I will say like
Um,
I mean, if you don't remember
I did like that.
the very much of the ending, very much of the ending of this movie, that it doesn't end well necessarily, but you don't really feel that and like
No,
that bad
yeah,
ending.
everything
It's
like
just kind of
there
like
really
okay,
isn't any weight
yeah,
to to like the stakes, to what's at stake in this movie, to what's actually going on and shit. Because of the way it's, I guess, shot, you don't get like this feeling of like, oh, these characters are important, or oh, this
right,
scene like had a lot of meaning to it. Kind of like none, no, because again, I think a lot of it had to do with the way it was edited. If like the scene transitions had maybe been a little better, if like the music had maybe like followed
the tone, yeah.
the tone of the movie better. Get rid of the fucking xylophone, dude. What are you doing? Like trying to
That's what I was
use
saying.
all
Like
the
they
goddamn
used every loop
they
that they
use
could find.
every fucking like just like instrument loop sample you could imagine, and it was like this movie has like the bones of something really interesting. The fucking poster is ridiculous looking.
Yeah,
Of the main character, this is probably the coolest he looks in that movie, Rex, because throughout the movie, like his character is just confusing as fuck. He seems like he's sinister, he's got like the witchy thing, but then he walks around like
yeah. We met.
like a waitress or some shit, he's got his arm
We
up
were
and he's
we were
doing this,
nitpicking a little bit of his character, like the fact that his
yeah,
hair was
because
very
like it made
stringy,
no
like
sense.
was driving
He
us kind of
looks
nuts.
weird. His proportion, like, no offense to the actor, but like they put him in a fucking turtleneck, a long sleeve turtleneck. He's not in shape. Like he's got like strange proportions. He's got like narrow hips, but then he's kind of like pudgy.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be
You know,
menacing. in
yeah,
some
he's supposed to
way.
be like intimidating, and like he also looks like a real short dude. And
We
then they also have a
again,
lot of scenes where he walks a lot for
yeah,
some fucking
the
reason.
suggestions that we made for this character, put the fucker in a trench coat, like a
Yeah, put
black
him in a
trench
trench
coat.
coat, cover him up.
Yeah,
Do not put him in direct light, like direct lighting, indirect lighting only. Like just
it
like
well,
half of his face or
right.
some shit. Put him in shadow.
But they did kind
Like
of they went to extremes with that character. So they put him in direct lighting, and then like
yeah,
towards the end they put him in a such
like
no
complete
light,
darkness.
where you could
Yeah,
barely
no
see
light at
him.
all. His whole body was just in shadow,
But
and it looked so fucking stupid.
there was no like separation from him in the background. It looked like just
No,
one
yeah, like he
bland
was just
shot.
blending in.
Yeah, and like again,
And
menacing, no,
then he
just
was also
annoying.
front row and center too. So
Yeah,
it's like
that guy. That's
it
when
was
they
hard to
centered
see
him.
him. And then like he's also like in the middle of the shot, and he's got like speaking moments and shit where it's like, what are you fucking doing? This is weird.
Again, questions about the way the cinematography and
I
the.
feel bad. Yeah,
I
like
mean, like I
because a
said,
lot of these.
ideally it seems like a good premise to a film, and again, shot well, but with editing
This,
choices and some shots like
yeah,
we just criticized right now, some shots that were just very
this.
questionable. They didn't make any sense.
No, this seems like it was a like a college film or something,
But it's
or
not
like a
though.
short
Like
film.
like it's written by someone who has experience in the industry, and I mean,
Yeah,
but it's also low budget. And I will say this though,
very low budget.
I'm aware of folks that have been in the industry for many decades, and whenever they decided to make their own movie, they wrote and directed a movie. It wasn't good. All right, because it kind of had the same problems as this one. Like they weren't necessarily experienced in directing or
They were in over their
cinematography.
head.
Maybe they're pretty decent writers, but like they don't execute that portion of
Right.
this
They don't know how to like
very well.
shoot those shots.
And if
Frame the
they're
scene.
and you said if it's a passion project, they have more ties to the film, so they can't objectively like cut things or edit it a certain way. Like they
Right,
kind
yeah.
of
It's
yeah.
harder for them to decide,
But anyways,
like
let's
maybe I don't know, like I'm kind of curious about some of the like background information about this movie to see like what were they trying to accomplish and
Well, I
what
mean
was
that would
the
only be like answered from the writer director. That would be him
yeah.
saying whatever he
I mean,
thought.
I would straight up ask him, shit, that would be fucking cool.
That would be. I mean,
Like, what were you thinking about, man? Like, this is some hammy stuff. Like,
it's
I want to
funny.
know.
We would have to. That's another thing. Like, if we were like to have the opportunity to interview this director, even like those.
Oh yeah, I have
Whenever,
to temper the shit
whenever
out of my
we.
sarcasm.
Yes, but whenever we did like Dawn of the Beast, remember, and we found out that like
Yeah,
all those people like wrote and directed, and we had criticisms about that, and with
yeah,
suggestions, like, hey, you did a good Bigfoot Wendigo rave scene, do more of that,
yeah.
you know, and like forget these characters, and again, low budget, you can only do so much, but
Yeah, exactly.
kudos to getting the movie made, and
I mean, yeah,
hopefully
you made a
the next
fucking
one is
movie.
better.
Yeah.
So rolling out of 5, what would you give Inherit the Witch?
So I was talking to you before that like this movie, I wanted to sort of set it aside to a different kind of range of standards, range of criteria than like our usual because this is again like low budget. This is very much like a sort of indie little uh like basement fucking film. And like I don't want to be like, oh, what the fuck, why isn't this the next
Well,
Marvel movie
I
or
think
whatever?
you're saying like a movie that has like a big budget that
Yeah, I
has like all the opportunity to make it as best as
yeah, and then
possible
still flops
and
as
time and
opposed to
still flops or be boring.
right. It should not be held to the same standards as like this little movie that tries to do a thing and might not necessarily succeed, but because of like just due to a different set of circumstances. So I thought this movie needed a lot of work, but like it had a lot of interesting elements of what could make a really pretty cool movie. Some of the shots were great. The split screen did not need that. Did not need the did not need the drone shots. That was
I
pretty
mean, they
unnecessary.
weren't bad drone shots. They were still pretty good. I
So
think
some of them were good.
your criticism for that while we're watching it was that they were too high.
They were
They're
too
too
high
high
up there,
for
and also like
yeah.
some of them, the shots dragged on for too long.
Mm.
You know, like you didn't realize, oh, okay, it was an overhead shot of somebody biking on a bicycle, you
Right,
know,
right, right.
until a little later.
And
Um,
again, like the whole passion project thing, where like you
right.
don't
I
you
think,
if you're so quick to get these shots, but I don't
yeah,
know,
that
like you said, like
you don't really have a way
the,
to use a good use
there
from. You just throw
there
it in
should have
there.
been a little bit more focus on your subjects
Yeah.
as opposed to just getting a nice
Those
shot.
because those shots, I think they didn't need to be there because they serve no purpose other than like maybe to introduce the character, but then that could have just been one shot of
Right,
her like
right.
biking, you know. And I could have sworn that like it almost seemed like one of the moments where she's like biking down the trail seemed like it was made by an AI video, or like you
Well,
know the videos that they have when you're on the stationary bikes where it's you just put it on a screen and you're like going
right,
down the
right, right,
trail,
yeah.
or
Well,
you know
we
it's
also did mention like whenever they show her coming down, like the shot is just still there, and then like
yeah,
it takes a long time for her to kind of like come around the corner, and then we kind of like just
yeah,
wait for her to get to the
yeah.
actual point where we like see
So
her. Anyways, go ahead.
I'm gonna give this movie like a
You want me to go
I'll give
first
it a
because I have my
one.
no. Go ahead. Go
Huh?
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was yeah, like I don't want to be shitty, but I also don't want to be nice to this.
Yeah,
Uh,
be honest.
because that's dumb. So I'll probably give this about like a 1.4, 1.3,
Okay. Um.
which for me like in this set of averages, a good movie for me is going to be like a 2.7 or so, like
Mhm.
somewhere in the middle usually.
All right.
But yeah, I'll just give him this one like a 1.3,
Well, I was gonna
I
give
think,
this
out of 5.
movie a. I was gonna give this a loose 2.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
With certain aspects that I like, and I found like the soundtrack humorous. I thought again, it's shot fairly
Mhm.
well, like colorized and all that kind of stuff.
Oh
With
yeah,
all the
absolutely.
other concept that's there but not executed properly, I wouldn't say a solid 2, but it's a loose 2. Like it's kind of like flailing between
Yeah.
like falling off into the 1
If this
rating.
movie, if I was gonna give this a better rating, this movie's an hour and 25 minutes. If they cut 30 minutes out of this, like I'd give it probably at least a couple more
If this was
points.
a solid hour long movie, I think I
Yeah.
probably would have given it like a 2.5
Yeah. Okay.
or a
I
solid
can see
2,
that.
like a solid 2.
Yeah, because like a lot again, like, and this is where I find this with a lot of these either indie films or just movies that like they just drag. They have like every scene like has a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes that does not need to be there.
Hmm.
And it drives me fucking nuts. Like where I'm just like, why are we staring at this fucking person's face for 10 seconds? Like get this shit out of here.
Yeah. Again, someone better to have someone objectively making these editing choices and whatnot. Because if you're too close, it's hard for the person to kind of like justify cutting certain
Hmm.
things because they're so too attached to it. But anyways,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what we give the movie, and that's Inherit the Witch. If you see it on streaming, check it out if you like. I mean, you don't have to take our opinion for it, but
Mm.
this is a extremely independent type of film. I don't know how many eyes would get on this movie, but it's a movie that we were fortunate and enough
We
to
were
watch,
gifted.
and we're thankful to get an early screener of that and be able to
Sure.
review it. We don't
It's not a
necessarily.
long movie,
Yeah,
so
we
that
don't
helps.
necessarily want to review movies entirely that are popular, because there's a lot of cinema out there,
Yep.
and the big budgets are gonna get the big budgets, and they're always gonna get them and all that kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
we like to
I
throw in
mean,
a
maybe these guys will make the next Crow movie.
right, and it'll be like way better, way better. At this point, I don't know. Like again, even seeing this movie, Crow still is the worst movie I've seen so far. But and that again, I've seen a lot of bad movies this year, but that one
Have you
takes the
have
cake.
you watched all of Borderlands yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Well, let's sign off on this review. If you like this video, or you like our opinions or entertained by us in any way, feel free. And we ask that you like and subscribe. We would very much appreciate it because we enjoy having these conversations with other people other than ourselves. We're not always completely interested in sitting around in an echo chamber of our ideas. Granted, Roland and I have very differing opinions when it comes to cinema and life in general. You know,
I'm right, you're wrong. You know, it's just we just accept it.
There's a lot of clashing going on, and that's totally fine. Criticize us all you want. We welcome it.
Right, as long as you understand that I'm right.
And you can tell him to shut up. It's okay.
I won't listen.
He won't. But yeah,
it gives me strength.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.
Boop, boop, boop. Laters.
Let me stop this one.